you for joining us online this afternoon. Looking at some of the rainfall that's occurred over the last couple of days, and it's an interesting fact that I thought would be worth sharing. So the 4-day rain total for Henderson area catchment, so acknowledging this is just one catchment area, but that particular Henderson catchment, 4 days, over 600 millimetres of rain, which is half the yearly Auckland average. So I think that really puts into perspective the volume and magnitude of the rain that we've seen over the last week. So just on that note, weather related, I think I'll pass to Georgina.
Thank you. Kia ora. Okay, so in the last few hours, Met Service Severe Weather team have partnered with regional councils and utility providers in the Upper North Island. One of the things we're very concerned around is impacts. So while we are weather forecasts, we use tools such as a red warning to communicate to people that we expect quite significant impacts. To that effect, we have upgraded the heavy rain warning for Northland, also North Auckland, north of about Orewa, and Coromandel into a red heavy rain warning. These are significant numbers of rainfall for Northland, whereas the amount of rain and the intensities of rain for Orewa Auckland north of Orewa are less significant, but likely to still be impactful because our region is so saturated. For Northland, the heavy rain warning, the red heavy rain warning, kicks in early hours of tomorrow, Tuesday, and lasts for much of the day. For Auckland, heavy rain is expected to start or spread in at around 5 p.m. Tuesday for north of Orewa, slightly later as you move into the southern and central parts of Auckland. For Coromandel, the red heavy rainfall is expected for Wednesday, so we've got a little bit of time for Coromandel. The reason these red warnings have been issued is because of the impacts we've already seen since the multiple heavy rainfall events experienced since Friday. What a red warning means is expect even modest or an amount of rain to produce flooding quite quickly, exacerbate slips, and in addition, that's different to this event, we also are on wind watch for Northland and Auckland. What that means is we expect some significant gale northeasterlies, to actually have an impact on tree fall. So the soils are very saturated, a bit of wind on top of that will produce more tree fall than you might normally expect with that amount of wind. So please take this seriously. These warnings are issued not lightly. It is an exact science trying to estimate impacts. And I would say to the people that are on orange heavy rain warnings, which is Great Barrier Island, and the remainder of Auckland south of Orewa, also Bay of Plenty, to keep up with the weather warnings from Met Service. Things can and do change. And also, we're not excluding those areas from impacts such as flooding and slips. So we're just trying to highlight the hot spots of Northland, Auckland north of Orewa, and also Coromandel because of the impacts. Thank you.
Thanks, Georgina. So yeah, just a summary of that message there, I guess, is that again, red warning for areas north of Orewa and orange for the rest of the region, but we shouldn't be complacent about that orange warning because it still could be that with the rainfall we experience in some of the other parts of the region, that given the sodden ground conditions, it can be enough to be problematic. So again, just some difference there in terms of potential severity, but still a possibility of that rain causing disruption or further disruption across the region. Just reflecting on that being something that's being experienced broader than Auckland, it might be a good opportunity now to bring Roger in, who can perhaps give us just a bit more of a reflection on the national context at the moment.
Thank you, Rachel. Good afternoon. My name is Roger Ball. I'm the Director for Civil Defence and Emergency Management from the National Emergency Management Agency. My role is to be here to support the Auckland Emergency Management Team and those who are responding to their community's needs here. We've been involved in this from the start. Our job is to make sure that the impacted CDM groups, and it's also has been Waitomo, but also we have this severe weather coming through in the next few days. Our activities continue to involve coordination with national agencies and national resources. So today that involves continuing to operate the National Coordination Centre, which is the bunker beneath the beehive, and we are hosting national meetings and teleconferences with all of the agencies that are involved across central government, and they are many. At this end, in Auckland and the Emergency Coordination Centre run by the Auckland Emergency Management Team, we are working closely with the other central government agencies to make sure that the support is coming in behind the operation, and we'll continue to do that. Looking ahead over the next couple of days, as we've just heard from Met Service, we do see some quite significant risk to communities, and we'll be making sure that our resources are available in those regions. We're talking to those CDM groups every day about what the outlook is and about what we can do to support them. So thank you, Rachel, and I'll hand over to the next person.
Thanks, Roger. So moving now on to slightly more operational matters, I've got Sarah Bryant, the Group Manager from Auckland Transport's Operations Centre here with me. Traffic, obviously, movement of traffic, flow of traffic, traffic blockages is an important topic for everybody at the moment. So Sarah, if you would be able to give us a bit of an update, that would be fantastic.
Kia ora koutou. Firstly, I'd like to start by saying that we're really thinking about everyone across the wider Tamaki Makaurau who's been impacted by the floods. I want to reassure everyone that Auckland Transport are doing everything we can to clear roads as quickly as we can, and our roads are out, our teams are out there at the moment doing that. There is more rain, as we've heard, anticipated over the next 48 hours, and we are expecting a bit of pressure on our roads and public transport options over that time, especially around peak travel times. So I want to make sure and be clear that we would like people to plan ahead. Please drive to the conditions. Travel, be prepared for any further disruption. So we know that our peak travel times in the morning and in the evening in particular will be quite heavy. So please stay safe and make decisions accordingly. I want to be clear that our public transport is also operating, and our western train lines will be operating and our eastern train lines. However, they have been slips, so there will be some degradation of our service. So please check online on our website and use our website to plan your journey. There is a red wind warning tomorrow afternoon for the Auckland Harbour Bridge, so that could potentially create lane closures or a full bridge closure. So you can keep up to date on our website and our social media channels for any changes in that space. And we are continuing network tidy up and site assessments across Auckland. Within our rural areas, we are seeing soil saturation, and it is a significant challenge to clear some of the slips that we've seen, but we are continuing that work as I speak. Just up in the last couple of hours, we can confirm that all our signalised intersections, all our traffic signals are now back up and running. And I just want to again reiterate, please check the weather tomorrow, plan your journey, and stay safe. For any further information, please check the AT website. And lastly, I just want to say thank you to our maintenance crews who are out there doing what they need to do to get Auckland moving. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. So just following on from, I guess, the disruption to some of our transport network and just the challenge in getting around at the moment, and reflecting on the forecast moving forwards over the next couple of days, we have been advised this afternoon that due to the possibility of further weather damage leading to more disruption, the Secretary for Education has directed that schools, kura, early learning services and tertiary institutions in the Auckland region, whilst for tūpokois, the full extent of the region, must close for physical attendance and instruction until 7th of February. So that's advice we have received this afternoon. Obviously, the Ministry will be working to provide specific advice through to their schools and schools to their Board of Trustees, and we encourage parents and students to connect with the usual channels that they would use to get information on what is happening in their school or education provider. And as I said earlier in the day when we were just reflecting on some of those transport challenges, businesses should consider their operational requirements and make their own informed decisions about their working arrangements for staff. So just something there for people to be thinking about for tomorrow and Wednesday in particular. All right, I'm now going to pass to Ian McCormick. So Ian, again, is our General Manager Building Consents, and his team have been out on the ground, beating the streets, so to speak, doing a fabulous job of assessing buildings, both commercial and residential, throughout the region, and it really has been right throughout the region. And Ian's going to give us just a bit of an update as to how that's going and what the projected timeframes, I think, are for that work. Thanks, Ian.
Kia ora. So many of you have probably seen members of my team out and about. We've got about 90 teams currently working in the Auckland area at the moment, teams of 2, and we're assessing both residential and commercial buildings, which we've identified through the impact assessments we've done and through the various feedback we've had from emergency services, alerts through our call centre system, and various other pieces of information we've received. We're moving at pace, and to date we've issued 69 red placards, 300 yellow placards, and 720 white placards. Indeed, we probably issued more than that. Some of them are being issued using paper, hard copy, and it takes us a little bit longer to process. But it gives you an idea of the scale of the work we're currently doing at the moment. For those of you who have had an assessment, some of you will be aware that you've now got a placard near the front entrance of your building. Please leave that there, do not move it. It's there for your safety and the safety of other people who move in and around your building. The placard system is designed to be able to provide an indication of the safety of that building, to enable, and indeed the safety for occupants in the building, but also for nearby public areas. So it's there for your safety, enable you to understand how you can use your building. If you've got a red placard, and as I've said before, we've issued to date 69 of those, it means that access to that building is prohibited. So you should not be going into that building because it represents high risk based on our expert opinion. If you want to enter a building like that, you need to contact us first so that we can ensure that it's safe for you to enter. And I'll give you a number where you can do that very shortly. If you've got a yellow placard on your building, it means that that building has displayed significant damage when our inspectors have visited it, and there will be some restrictions on the use of that building. It may be that we say we'll indicate on the placard that the building should not be used as a permanent residence, or you should be in the building permanently. But maybe it's okay for you to be using it on a temporary basis to come in and move personal property out and that type of thing. Typically it'll mean there's quite a bit of work that you would need to do on that building to actually bring it back to a state where you can safely use it on an ongoing basis. It may also mean that the access to the building is restricted to certain parts of the building. For example, there may be some features associated with the environment, like a slip, or some trees, which have been assessed as dangerous for the use of the back of the house, and so we will indicate that on the placard for you not to use that part. And finally, a white placard means that when our team have been there, we've seen no evident signs of damage. Now remember, this is it's a rapid assessment. It means that we're trying to get an indication. These assessments will normally take about 20 minutes, and for the most part they're done by looking at the exterior of the building. We may look through one of the windows to get an idea of what, perhaps if we need to, about what the inside of the building looks like, to get some clues as to its usability, but generally speaking most of the information is simply from an external assessment. Nothing about these assessments should take away the responsibility of the owner to ensure that that building is safe for use. And it may be that certainly if it's got a yellow placard, or if there's any doubts about it whatsoever, an owner should be getting a professional in. It might be a building practitioner or an engineer in to look at that building to make sure that it is safe. We are ramping up our assessment exercise. At the moment, we've got 130 building inspectors in the field, and we've all from Auckland. And we've also got support from Tauranga City Council and Hamilton City Council, and also from Kainga Ora, the Consentium team. So we really thank those folk for assisting us. We've also got structural engineers and geotech engineers, and we've also got a large number of people from the Fire Service Urban Search and Rescue team who are also assisting us, looking at buildings for us as well. We've got teams from all around the country, from Wellington, from Christchurch, from Auckland, and from other places helping us as well. We're looking at ramping up our assessment program from tomorrow, and we are looking to put 120 teams in the field. We're looking to aim for around about 700 to 1,000 assessments a day. The assumptions being that weather permitting and also resource permitting. We've also asked AMBI for some support, and already a large number of councils from around the country are providing us trained rapid assessment assessors to assist Auckland. And we've asked those folk to come and assist us from Tuesday through to the end of the week. Obviously, one of the things about ramping up this exercise, this very important exercise, means that it is going to have some impact on our ability to support building inspections for the industry. And we've currently been ringing folk around who have booked inspections for Tuesday and Wednesday, and actually working with them to look for another date. We know this is disruptive to your construction project, but we're asking you to bear with us and come together with the community to be able to support us at this time. We will get through this process. We'll be able to enable the community to be able to move forward at pace and progress addressing the issues they've got with their buildings. And so an impact on your inspections. As much as possible, please just bear with us and let us get the support work done. We'll still be doing critical inspections, but we just significantly want to reduce the number that we're doing so we can do this work over the next couple of days. We spoke to members of the industry already, and they've been very supportive of this approach. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian, and I guess really just want to acknowledge the massive amount of work that's happening out on the ground by contractors, staff, emergency responders, community organisations, working across a whole range of different service areas. I think it's really quite an impressive effort to get through that volume of properties in the timeframe that you're committing to. Just a couple more comments from me, just reflecting on the stickering process. There are a situation there, red placards means those homes are not able to be inhabited. So just a reminder for people, if you find yourself in a position where you need additional support, that you can access that by contacting us on 0800 22 22 00. So that service is available. It's not always people that are affected right in the immediacy of an event that need help. Sometimes that help's needed a little bit along the path of the response as well. So just a reminder there for people. And just finally on that thread, we're receiving reports of very generous donations from people wanting to help out at our civil defence centres, and that's very much appreciated. But we're at a point with some of those centres where those offers of assistance are not able to be taken up because we're at sort of capacity in terms of what we need at those places. So if you do have goods or items that you wish to donate, we'd really encourage you to contact one of your local community welfare groups or food banks who will be able to give you some advice or confirm that what you've got is what's needed right now. But again, really appreciate those generous offers. Just from our end, it's important to make sure that they're going into the right places where there is a need. And at the moment, the civil defence centres are doing okay, but thank you for that. And there is the end of this update, other than just to note that tomorrow we're going to slightly change our rhythm with a shift to 2 daily twice a day briefings, so that will be 8 o'clock in the morning and 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Thank you, everybody. If there are any questions, or Georgina, was there something else you wanted to mention?
We think we should probably just go through the timings of the red warning areas.
Okay.
I can do that for you.
Yes.
Thank you. I've just been nudged to say that we should go slowly through the timings of the heavy rain warnings in the red areas. So for Northland, kicking in any time from 4 a.m. tomorrow, being Tuesday, and extending through the bulk of the day. For Auckland, north of Orewa, kicking in Tuesday evening from about 5 p.m. And that duration of that red warning period is 12 hours. So 5 p.m. Tuesday to 5 a.m. Wednesday. For Coromandel, we're looking at Wednesday, early hours of Wednesday through the day Wednesday. Thank you.
We do have a couple of minutes to take questions, if there are any.
Wayne Brown this afternoon announced he is launching a full investigation into Auckland's flood response by relevant agencies. He maintains he's done nothing wrong so far. Do you stand by all of your agencies, the speed and efficiency of your response?
Look, it's absolutely common practice to do a full review of any emergency event. So that's what we do for anything where we stand up our activation, where we activate our civil defence response. So that will be happening. In terms of things we could have done differently, at a high level, I would say there is always opportunities to learn from our response, and it would be odd not to have something that you couldn't do differently or better in the future. That said, our focus right now is in the immediate response. We're not out of this yet, and it's not the time to be looking at whether we need to make changes. That will come, and it will come through a formal review process. Thank you, everybody.